in with our picture biography of Master Empty Cloud. This is a lecture series that we've begun for more than a year now, and in just one moment we're going to be beginning our protocol that we do every week to get our lecture underway, and then we'll jump right into today's wonderful stories about our grand teacher, Shang Xu Xia Yun Lao和尚, Master Empty Cloud. Now, those of you who would like to hear my lecture in Mandarin, we have an opportunity for you. 愿意听一种流利的国语翻译的人呢，你们这里有办法，就是你的控制板的右下角有一个叫 interpretation， 你们看到了没有？就在那里你就可以收听我们的义工很发心把我所讲的英语翻译流利的普通话。Also, if you would like to hear today's lecture in Vietnamese, we have a link where you can listen to a fluent Vietnamese translation. So thank you to our volunteers who make it possible to hear the lecture in Vietnamese. Now, in one moment, we're going to bow 3 times to Guanyin Bodhisattva, and then Zhang Qinbo from Shanxi, Baoji, is going to do our Dharma request, all right? So when I ring the bell, we can make 3 half bows. Just a second, let me bring up our requesting Dharma page. Here we go. Hold on here, going back there. All right. Be right with you. Okay. 我敲眼镜3下，然后呢，就张居士山西的张金波要帮我们来请法。好，来，一问讯 half bow， 再问讯3问讯 third bow。好，张金波，你愿意请法请你开始。
恭请大德僧天，为此法会集一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死。离苦得乐，速证无生。Will the Sangha, with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to live suffering and attain bliss and birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahadi sanmya sanbutoshe.
Namo sadanto suchedoye olahadi sanmya sanbutoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered even through billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. 好的，蒋清波感恩 appreciate that, Mr. Zhang, all the way from Shanxi Sheng Baoji. We would like to respectfully acknowledge the Kombu-Meri people of the Ugambi language region as traditional storytellers and custodians of the land where our monastery is located. We pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and to all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就说我们恭敬地承认与冈北语族的孔布马里人是我们这里这个澳大利亚所在地的传统叙事者的守护人。我们向过去、现在和未来的长者们致敬，并且向所有从来没放弃主权的第一民族的原住民致敬。Okay, there we go. Let's see here. I wonder, let me check. You can never do it enough times for it not to go wrong when you need it. So let's see, there we go. Keep on moving here. There we go. Finally, we got our software working for us. Next is the bell song. And this is the English translation of the Chao Zhongji. Here we go. The bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法扬万亿国中，共寻其法界和平，利益报贪若厚德。Here we go. We'll save that and zoom in again on Guanyin Bodhisattva. So, welcome everybody. 欢迎各位啊。我们都有 if someone would like to be the Dharma requester next week or a week that follows, we would love to have you step in and lead everyone in requesting Dharma. To do that, go to the chat box. You'll find it right there in your software on Zoom, and send an email to Yuqian Chenyu Jishi. The email address is there. We will get you set up to be the Dharma requester, and if you don't want to do 2 languages, we can help you out that way as well. So, 好的. Now, as I was thinking about what's going on here, I'm sitting in the Gold Coast of Queensland, telling stories about our grand teacher, our teacher's teacher, Master Empty Cloud, Xu Lao Hashang. And he lived to be 120 years old, which is remarkable in itself. But his life was full of amazing, amazing stories that not only Buddhists who kind of have a context for that kind of lifestyle, but just people worldwide, when they encountered a human, a grown-up like that, who chose to live his life the way Master Empty Cloud lived, they were moved, they were touched, and wanted to find out more about how somebody, the choices that he made, what motivated him to live the way he did. So, from any point of view, the things that Master Empty Cloud did seemed heroic, that is to say, larger than life, Superman kind of strength and patience and goodness and knowledge and sometimes just outright magic, the things that he did. Feats of strength, ability to communicate with birds and foxes, and today we're going to find out about geese. I'm giving you a preview of coming attractions. So he's a Buddhist hero. Now, tomorrow I lecture again, and we have another series going at the same time, a parallel series, the hero of whom, the focus of whom is a Buddhist layman. He's not a monk, he's a young man. And they call him a tongzi, which is to say a youth. And his name is Sudana, Shancai Tongzi. And he goes from ordinary guy to Buddha in one lifetime. He succeeds in his cultivation of the Buddhist path. And along the way, he meets with 53 different teachers, each one of whom looks into his soul and brings out another quality that was latent inside but needed to be brought out. And all of his virtue, they say, wan de bei, his 10,000 virtues, all his virtues were brought to light. So here we have again another Buddhist hero. And he's a pilgrim. He's on a journey. He takes a pilgrimage, a spiritual journey. And the sutra that we're lecturing from is called the Avatamsaka, Huayanjing. And he goes over mountains, through valleys, across oceans, through the cities. He really does take every step along the way. And the sutra illustrates it. We see it. You don't have to use your imagination. He actually tells you about the hardships, and you get to meet all the characters, the personalities of the teachers that show him the next step to take. So that's Buddhist hero story pilgrimage number 2. Empty Cloud is this series. Tomorrow is Sudana. And then on Mondays, although because City of 10,000 Buddhas is on a Chan meditation retreat for 3 weeks, so this Monday I won't be lecturing. But every other Monday of the year, here in Australia, it's actually Sunday night back in California. The Sunday night sutra lecture at City of 10,000 Buddhas is on another chapter of the same sutra, the Avatamsaka. It's called the Shi Hui Xiangpin, the 10 transferences chapter. And I have 90 minutes to lecture in, and I go 60 minutes on the sutra, and then the last half hour, I tell the stories of a third Buddhist hero, a pilgrim, and his name is Xuanzang Fa Shi. People confuse him with somebody called Sanzang in the story Xi You Ji, right? The Monkey King. People know the Monkey King. Either you saw it in a cartoon series, or maybe you saw a movie, or it's the name of bars in Shanghai, is the Monkey King Bar and Bar and Grill. So, in other words, this story, which began with an actual Buddhist monk, has become a folk legend. Monkey, right? The Monkey King. Sun Wukong. So Sun Wukong is the creation of a novelist, Wu Chang'an from the Ming Dynasty, who wrote a book called Xi You Ji, Journey to the West. Well, Wu Chang'an's novel was based upon the Tang Dynasty monk, the actual living human being who was a Buddhist monk, who did what? He went from Chang'an, the first years of the Tang Dynasty, all the way across the Taklamakan Desert, across the Himalaya mountains, through what is now Afghanistan, down into India, found a teacher, studied for 17 years on the journey, learned Sanskrit, became the debate champion of all of India as a Chinese Buddhist monk, then packed up 300 scrolls of sutras, put them on elephant back and on a backpack that he carried, and set off, returning to China, successfully retraced his journey and made it back to Chang'an, turned himself into the emperor because he broke the law by leaving China. He was told not to go, but he went anyway. and then with the emperor's permission and pardon, translated all those texts and became a heroic figure in Chinese history named Xuanzang Dashi, Master Xuanzang. So he is Buddhist hero pilgrim number 3 that I somehow found myself explaining every week, just without planning to. It just turned out that I'm now engaged in sharing the legends of 3 incredible Buddhist monk heroes in real life. So I was thinking that we should have a new series called Buddhist Pilgrim Heroes and just tell those stories, either through a podcast or maybe not a TikTok. TikTok is too brief. You can't get the real flavor of it in 90-second or 3-minute clips. It's got to be done a little longer. So we have to come up with a medium to showcase these incredible stories. All right, that's the prelude. That's the teaser to get you interested. Here's the actual story. Today we have, I'm gonna hide the sidebar. It is 1920. It's the 9th year of the new Republic of China, and he is 81 years old. Oh my goodness. And the title is 双额念佛往生, 2 geese, mindful of the Buddha, go off to rebirth. True story, everybody. True story. Here we go. 庚申81岁，唐都寝宫住华亭寺，唐复港张卓贤以此兄2儿，送云起寺放生，请说皈依，俯首静听，说戒毕，做喜状，随人上殿诵经，绕佛如是3年，呲额于佛前，又绕3匝，一礼退去。不久，凶者亦然，毛形不微，诚以木盒，张至一种。Okay, so far so good. Everybody got that much? All right, there will be a quiz, so get out your notebooks. No, that's okay. The master was 81 in 1920, and Governor Tang invited him to stay in Huating Monastery. Later, Tang went to Hong Kong. One day, Zhang Zhuoxian brought a pair of geese, 1 male and 1 female, to be set free at Yunxi Monastery, Cloud Abode. Same place, different name. We'll tell that story in a minute. He requested the master explain the 3 refuges for the 2 geese. The geese lowered their heads and quietly listened, and after the precepts were explained, they seemed quite happy. For the subsequent 3 years, they followed along with the assembly during the ceremonies, sutta recitations, and circumambulating of the Buddha. Then, one day, the female goose walked around the Buddha to the right 3 times, stood up straight, and died. It was not long after that the male followed her. At death, their feathers did not wilt, but remained fresh. The geese were placed in wooden boxes and buried together. Okay, so for those of you who are new to this series, what's going on? Our teacher, Master Shangshen Xiahua, our teacher, Master Shenhua, looked at Master Empty Cloud's 120 years and came up with 200 separate stories, wrote about them in, you can see, very erudite Wenyan Baihua Wenyan in between, classical Chinese, then went to an artist in Hong Kong and asked him to illustrate each separate episode. So we have these charming woodblock prints with the Chinese. In this case, 2 geese taking refuge. Truly happened, just the way it was said. Here's the monks and lay people. Here's the donor of the geese, right? So the monk talks to geese. Well, yeah, in fact, the geese talk to the monks. But then Master Hua he exercised his poetic skills and wrote a 4-line verse for every episode. So here we go. 一切众生有佛性，百千三昧正菩提，万物原来本一体，三界无所无私，任自是。Every living being has the Buddha nature. In thousands of different samadhis, we realize enlightenment. The source of the myriad things is but a single substance. Unselfish, through the 3 realms, you gain self-mastery. Okay, so let's take, what's the sense? Master Hua is pointing to something inside that is not limited to this body. We have 2 geese, animals' bodies, birds' bodies, and yet there's something in them that lets them interact with people, in this case the monks of Yunqi Si, and behave in strange ways. If the birds weren't figuring a lot out, how could they behave in this way? So Master Hua says, if you can wu si, if you can be without the self, if you can get rid of yourself, then you are in charge of, they say, lai ming chu bai. You understand where you came from and you know where you're going. So that's a nice verse to have to accompany this. Now, we've got another clue to what's going on, which is Master Empty Cloud's own autobiography. And it's called his Nianpu. And here it is, right here. Pop this up to maybe that. Here we go. So here's the news for this year. Sun Zhongshan Gai Zhonghua Guomindang says the Sun Yat-sen, Sun Zhongshan, Guo Fu, depends on where you come from. Both sides of the Taiwan Straits admire Sun Zhongshan. So he took what was called the Zhonghua Guomindang, the Chinese Revolutionary Party, and called it the Zhongguo Guomindang. So that was the birth. 1920 was the birth of the KMT, the Guomindang. 1920, okay, we're going to go down a little bit here. We got some more supplementary stories. Incredible stories. Here we go. Right there. Okay, Cliff,
Yeah.
if you don't mind, would you kindly help us read from here, 4年, down to the end? Okay.
是年，张卓先居士以雌雄二鹅送至昆明西寺放生，请说皈依。于是二鹅均俯首静听，至说戒毕，举手似喜状。自此起，常随人上殿，人念诵鹅记视听，人绕佛，鹅随绕佛。久之不易，人皆喜之。经3年1日，慈鹅于大殿门前旋行3转。举手望佛，褪去毛色不违，诚以木盒葬之。其雄鹅鸣声不止，亦如恋目。月数日不遇不食，亦于殿前站立观佛。张翅一扇画具，仍以小观敛之。二鹅共造一种，张为文记之。
Okay. So let me add my own commentary here. One of the benefits of following Master Empty Cloud's biography in this way, with pictures, with poems and all, is we get a look at the tumultuous changes in China at the beginning of the 20th century. So this is 2 decades into the into the 20th century, the 1900s, 1920, the 5,000 years of the Chinese imperial program ended in 1911. So anytime that source of strength suddenly vanishes, there's a vacuum, a power vacuum in between, and strong men, strong women are sucked in to fight, to compete for power, to see what emerges. So that's one aspect of Master Empty Cloud's life. He was a witness to these changes. He saw it, and he wrote about it. So we get to meet some of the personalities. We get to learn about things that if you didn't have an eyewitness writing a journal, you wouldn't know about. Now, what was a big surprise to me as I've been chasing, studying these histories, is Master Empty Cloud he's a traveler. He's been all over China. He bowed from Putoshan all the way to Wutaishan. Every 3 steps he bowed to the ground. So we found out about the geography of China from a worm's eye view as he bowed down. But then when he arrived at Wutaishan, he went to Tibet on foot. Then he went down to Singapore. He went to Penang. He went to Bangkok on foot and traveled. And then back to Beijing because of being called back for political reasons. He went through the Boxer Rebellion, and on and on and on. We get through the window of his journal, we get to check into all of these events of the rebirth of China as a republic. Now, for the last decade, he has been in Yunnan. He's been down in southwestern China. If you think about the map of Australia, it's Perth. If you think about North America, it's New Mexico and Arizona and Southern California, where it meets Mexico down there. So it's that southwestern corner. In China, it's where China meets Thailand. So down there, it has a small population, but very tall mountains, rugged, and not a lot of history that's been written about, right? It's sort of Wild West corner of China. And along with the stories of Buddhist events, we get a look into what's going on in southwest China. Well, what's going on in southwest China? Earthquakes, floods, bandits, diseases, incredible misery and suffering for the average person. One of the stories a few weeks ago, Master Empty Cloud said, I couldn't help but pick up a shovel and bury all the dead bodies that piled up after the earthquake, right? So it's just like, oh my goodness, the suffering of living beings just trying to get through the day in southwestern China in the early days of the 20th century. Just incredible, incredible stories. Here's another natural disaster that Master Empty Cloud is a witness to, and because he's writing his journal, we get to find out about it, okay? So, oh my goodness. Which story? There's so many stories here to choose from. Plus all of the changes around a Buddhist monastery and a Buddhist monk, right? So let's focus here on the 2 birds, and then in the time that we have, we'll pick which of the incredible stories to include. All right. Here we go. So that same year, the layman Zhang Zhuoxian, a kind-hearted Buddhist layman named Zhang, sent a pair of geese, 1 male and 1 female, to Yunqi Monastery in Kunming, which is the capital of Yunnan province, to be released as an act of mercy. Okay, what is this? This is called fangsheng. And Fang Sheng is a really kind-hearted Buddhist observance that probably worldwide might be over. In my lifetime, back when I first started as a monk 50 years ago, you could Fang Sheng pretty much any time you wanted. Back in Vancouver, Western Canada, we had a layman who was a policeman. He followed his mom. His mom was a devout Buddhist lay woman, and her son was a constable in the Vancouver Police Department. And he was an officer. He was fairly high-ranking in the hierarchy of police. So, as people know, Vancouver is right on Burrard Inlet. It's right there on the Pacific Ocean, although it's a harbor, Burrard Harbor. And so you have access to saltwater, deep saltwater, immediately from the streets of Vancouver. So what did this kind-hearted policeman do? He got the key to the Vancouver Police Department yacht, the patrol boat launch platform, the launch at the harbor launch. So what he did was, when it was time for us to Fang Sheng as Buddhists, he just borrowed the key, opened the lock, and we went right down to the water to set free all the fish and seafood and crabs and lobsters that we bought from next door to the monastery. On East Hastings Street, we had a fish market. And boy, on a hot summer day when the wind was blowing the wrong way, our monastery smelled like a fish market. Oof, strong odors there. But we got to know the fish market manager, and he was a kind-hearted guy who was missing a couple fingers and had one eye missing. His whole body had been cut up because of the animals that he sold for a living. And he said, yeah, I totally am sympathy with the amount of killing that I'm doing, but you know what? I got to send my kids to school. So thank you very much. I'll give you a discount on the fish. And any fish that we can't sell are yours, you know. So we had a fish market, a monastery, and a yacht, a patrol boat launch platform. We were the medium, we were the, the hub for releasing animals back into the water. The market manager, the fish seller, went down to the docks, bought the fish, brought them to us, and we sent them back. It was just like a circle. Fang Sheng, it was easy back then, and don't you know, the city of Vancouver no longer permits Fang Sheng. So those days of just any opportunity you had to release animals back in the wild probably are over. In Berkeley, California, we were releasing turtles up in Jewel Lake, up in Tilden Park, at the top of the East Bay Park Ridge. There's this beautiful little lake. And we went out, and on the way, I thought maybe better to ask permission. So we went to the local ranger and said, we're going to liberate turtles. And he said, no, you are not. Show me the turtles you're going to release. And we showed him. He said, absolutely veto, do not do that. Those are Mexican red ear turtles. He said, they are fierce. He said, if you release those into Jewel Lake, in 1 year, those will be the only turtles left. He said, Jewel Lake has native California turtles. They are the brown box turtles. They're very timid and not aggressive. The Mexican red ear turtles eat everything they see. They are fierce. They will replace everything else. They will eat all the fish, all the turtles, all of the mud daubers. He said, there'll be only one species in a year, and that'll be Mexican turtles. Do not try to release them. He said, we will fine you, and if you do it twice, we'll put you in jail. So that's the story worldwide now. Back then, in China, if you want to send 2 geese to the monastery, probably no problem. All right? So just to say, that's the background for Fang Sheng. he requested that Master Empty Cloud take 2 geese as disciples, given the refuges. Okay, now that's another whole rabbit hole to go down. We'll talk about that in a minute. At the time, Master Empty Cloud may have said, we don't actually give refuges to animals per se. We don't give them Dharma names, but let's look into it. So in any case, he accepted. And probably one of the reasons he did was that the geese bowed their heads. They did. They bowed their heads and stood there waiting for the monk to do something. So when, what does it say, 说戒必, is that what it was? It was 人皆喜之 请说归于是二义是受听至说戒必. After giving them the precepts. Now, this is really Master Empty Cloud's compassion. Ordinarily, you wouldn't give precepts to animals that can't understand because they have to say, Nung, chi, yes, I can uphold it. What would the geese say? Quack, 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 right? Something like that, I suppose. But, so, anyway, in this case, they gave him the precepts. When it was over, the birds raised their heads, appearing joyful. From then on, they often followed people up into the hall. No joke, the geese walked around behind the monks and the nuns. When people recited, the geese watched and listened. When people circumambulated the Buddha, the geese circumambulated as well. After a long time, with no change in this behavior, everybody was delighted. Okay, a monk and nuns, here we have nuns, this is GCDR as a convent. The life of a Buddhist nun runs very regular. There's not a lot of changes from day to day. You're up early in the morning, you do chanting, you meditate, you go to work, you go to the kitchen for lunch. Some people prepare the food, other people administer the monastery type, others teach, right? From day to day, it's a lot the same. If you have 2 large birds walking around behind you every time you chant, it's delightful. It's so different. If you have 2 massive, beautiful horses show up in your sand garden, as happened last week, it's exciting and delightful because it's a break from routine, right? Otherwise, lives are very routine. To have the geese walking around in time, in order, very, geese like to parade. You've seen them on YouTube, right? Geese follow right in line. It's exciting and fun, right? Everybody's delighted. However, animals, what do they say? Their lives are nasty, brutish, and short, right? Short being the operative detail. After 3 years, one day, the female goose circled 3 times in front of the main hall on her own, raised her head, looked at the Buddha, and died. Just like that. And yet, there was no sign of sickness. What are we reading? Master Empty Cloud's autobiography. These are his words, right? Her feathers and body showed no signs of decay. Why did she suddenly die? She did. They put her in a wooden box and buried her respectfully. The male goose was heartbroken, cried as if filled with longing. Everybody watched. He stopped eating. He stopped going in the water. He stood before the hall, gazing at the Buddha, spread his wings out, and died 3 days later. They put him in a small coffin, buried them together in a single grave, and Zhang composed a written account to commemorate them. So, there you go. What do you think? It's like, First of all, there are some people who say, yeah, not really, disbelieve, okay, that's fine. Master Empty Cloud is not selling his journal. He's not making money. It's not going to be made into a film, right? There's no rights for the film rights. This is just his personal account of what happened every day. So, take it or leave it. Now, amazing as this is, that birds behaving very human, we at Gold Mountain Monastery in San Francisco in 1972 saw the same thing happen. Now, I came 1 year later, so I can't verify that this is the case. But I was told by people who saw it with their own eyes that this exact same thing happened, not with geese, but with pigeons. Okay? So the story goes, we did a fangsheng at Gold Mountain Monastery. Same kind of ceremony as was done for the geese. And this being San Francisco, the things you can release into San Francisco are very limited. Now even more so. In fact, I think it's probably illegal. They're afraid of diseased animals or non-native species that are going to be released and then die within a week because they can't support themselves. Or, as the ranger at Tilden Park said, you're going to release some sort of aggressive species that'll wipe out all the native species, right? So lots of issues. Now, at the time, 1972, pretty much nobody was releasing life, was doing fangsheng, so this was a new thing. And even then, we were aware of the idea that you don't want to fang si, you don't want to release something that's going to die. You want to give it something that's got a chance to live. So what were the choices? In this case, it was pigeons. Just the kind of, some people who don't like pigeons call them rats with wings, right? They're just the kind of urban pigeons, the gray birds that poop on your windshield and eat a lot of garbage. Those are the ones. So people, where did they come from? The birds came from Chinatown and also from Petaluma. Petaluma is in Marin County, and it's a place where there's lots of pigeons, lots of chickens, lots of ducks, lots of turkeys, lots of pheasants, and what are called chukar. What are they? They're used for skeet shooting by, quote, sportsmen. In other words, they're men and women who like to take shotguns and shoot at birds. So in order to satisfy this hobby of theirs, people will buy up a lot of pigeons and then take them downwind, let them go, and then the sportsmen blast them out of the air with shotguns, right? So that was going to be the fate of these birds. They were going to be used as targets for target shooting. So some kind-hearted person went to Chinatown, went to Petaluma, bought up a bunch of pigeons, brought them into the monastery. So in our book, in our liturgy book, we have ceremonies for this liberating life. And we did the ceremonies for the birds, then took them up to the roof of the monastery and let them go. And oh my goodness, were they happy to fly free. They all went, flew away in the blink of an eye to join the other crowds of pigeons in San Francisco, where they can survive. 2 of the birds did not fly away. They flew up, flew right back down, and got in line behind the monks. And everyone's like, okay, go, 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 fly away, fly free. They didn't fly away. And the monks were amused, and the nuns, haha, and then went downstairs to get ready for the evening lecture. So somebody came back up at night to the roof and found the birds there, opened the door, and the birds came in the monastery. And then they found their way downstairs, and the next morning joined us for morning chanting. I wasn't there, but said this is exactly what happened. So ceremonies continued. Somebody notified Master Hua that Shirvo, the 2 birds are still here. They didn't fly away. So Master Hua came down and sat down beside the birds and looked at them and then started to cry and shed tears. People, Shifu, what's wrong? He said, you know why they're not flying away? He says, you think it's cute? He says, these are two of my left home disciples who in a past life were able to become monks and nuns, but then broke the rules and lost their human bodies. He said, but they still have affinities with me. They're back. He said, that's why I'm crying. He says, I recognize them. So it's like, oh, gulp. Okay. That's a different story. So what did Shifu do? He said, go get some bread and get some, if you have any corn, we have some dried corn, get some birdseed. So people who had raised animals came back with some dried corn and some birdseed. And Master Hua, his robe had long sleeves, long Chinese sleeves in the robe. So he put birdseed into his robe sleeve and then held it down, and the bird followed the birdseed down into Shifu's sleeve. And so he had the bird in his sleeve, and he spoke Dharma for him. He said, don't you believe in cause and effect? Please remember last time the mistakes you made. We'll save you again. Come around again, right? And then he put the other bird in his other sleeve. And every day, when Master Hua came to the monastery for lunch, he would talk to the pigeons. And pretty soon, the birds really got to like him a lot. And he would sit on his shoulders, sit on his arm. And there were a lot of photographs taken of Master Hua teaching the pigeons. So this became one of the legends of Gold Mountain Monastery, is the birds that didn't fly away. So truly, truly a remarkable, everybody who saw it was moved, because not only watching, this old Chinese gentleman playing with two pigeons, and the pigeons obviously enjoying their encounter with this Buddhist monk, but more than that, it was the backstory, which is, why did these two birds choose to stay in the monastery rather than flying free? I'm going to see whether I can't see. Here we go. Master Shen Hua and pigeons. This is just a real-time chance to see what kind of... there we go. Well, what do you know? By golly. There they are. There's Shifu. There are the birds. Right? Liberating life in San Francisco. Let's see if there are any details that I missed here. Oh, it says it's 1968. 38 pigeons were released, all but 2 flew away. The 2 stayed around and became regular participants in the activities at the lecture hall. Cliff, you want to read that one?
这些年轻的美国人是第一次见到这种法会，放生地点在佛教讲堂的屋顶，一共有38只鸽子，除了2只之外，其余的都飞走了。留下的2只鸽子经常参与讲堂的活动。上人在解释这2只鸽子是他唐朝时代公元750年的出家弟子时落泪了。
Right. So 38 pigeons were released, all but 2 flew away. These 2 pigeons stayed around and became regular participants in the activities at the lecture hall. The master shed tears as he explained these birds had been his left home disciples in the 8th century in China. So here he is with birdseed in his hand. So when you see these, this is the same pattern. This was 1968, and in 1920, 40, 50 years earlier, Master Empty Cloud had the same encounter with 2 geese. So one of the lessons, one of the conclusions you can draw from it is people can become birds. Birds can become people. What's the difference? And how do you account for that? And the principle would be something like what Master Hua would explain. He would say that the 6 paths of rebirth, Liu Dao Lunhui, are kind of like musical chairs. And what body we are wearing now is not our first body, and it's not our last one. So how do we stay humans? How do we avoid losing our human bodies if since we're currently, those of you hearing my voice, we're assuming are humans now. How do we stay humans? How do we avoid falling into the realm of animals? And the answer is, it's based on what we do while we're in our human bodies. So in our Saturday lectures, our Sunday lecture series, we're talking this week, last week, and the week before about gods, the realm of gods. And those of you listening to the lecture today are, let's say, we're all humans now. And that's in the way Master Hua would explain it, this is a really wholesome rebirth, because why? We have more choices. Animals have limited choices. To be in an animal's body means, number one, is you're driven by hunger, and it's hard to satisfy it because you don't have money to go buy food. You're bound by your environment, not free. And to be in a bird's body, you're vulnerable to cats, to dogs, to sportsmen who shoot you out of the air for sport, etc. So clearly, that's your limited choices. And lifespan is usually short. And how do you ascend? How do you leave the animal realm, become a human again? As a human, much more choice, much more freedom to satisfy hunger, to keep yourself fed, warm, clothed, healthy, etc. And the doors out of humanity into the realm of gods or beyond, to become a Buddha, many more choices. Okay, so obvious, right? That's clear. So when in our lectures for the Avatamsaka Sutra, it's all about becoming a god, what it's like, what the sutra describes what it's like in the realm of the heavens. And it says the way you get there, the doorway to beyond humanity is, they say, 受持五戒, 奉行十善, hold the 5 precepts, cultivate the 10 good deeds. In other words, how you live as a human. So if we can avoid killing, avoid stealing, avoid sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxicants, that's the 5 precepts. The 10 good deeds are 3 with the body, 4 with the mouth, and 3 with the mind. So again, cherishing life instead of killing, being generous instead of stealing, and if you're married, keeping your vows. If you're not married, then avoid promiscuity or harming people with selfish sexual desire. 3 with the mind are avoiding greed, anger, and delusion. And then, strangely, the hardest ones to keep are the 4 with the mouth, avoiding lying, gossiping, harsh speech, profanity, 4-letter words, the F-bomb, and avoiding frivolous speech, using your words to benefit people, to gift people with kind words, with wisdom and that kind of speech. Then those are the 10 good deeds. So, how we behave as humans, one thing I like about Buddhism is it's really clear. You don't have to guess. It's right there in front of you. 5 precepts, 10 good deeds. You become beyond humanity into the realm of the heavens. So, interesting, thinking about it. And here's the proof right there in front of your eyes. In the Tang Dynasty, these were people, now they're birds. They meet they still have their connection with Master Hua, he's going to speak Dharma for them, bring them back to the realm of humans. So to think about it that way, musical chairs, we have the choice to pay attention to what we do, what we say, what we think. As humans, we are architects of our future. That's the choice of the Dharma. So here's our story one more time. Now we're back. 2 geese met a good teacher, had their time with the monks in the monastery, behaved like cultivators of the way, and then died. But notice that the one died first, the female. The male missed his companion and cried, and 3 days later died on his own. So interesting. Look at these affinities. In a goose's body, but still connected to the monk. So every day over at 102 Benogan Road, I'm distributing birdseed to birds, reciting the Buddha's name and saying, hey, next life, remember me. Come around and listen to the sutra. What do you say? Hubba hubba. Let's be friends. All right. Creating those connections. Let's dedicate merit. Thank you all for joining. Next week, oh my goodness, the story next week, our Buddhist hero's story. Let me show you. I closed it too quickly. Incredible previews of coming attractions. This is a story of heartbreak and family grief that would be worthy of a lianshuju. This is, oh man, this would be worthy of a soap opera. A drowning girl saved by a monk, and then he rescues 2 families. Heartbreak, drama, emotion, and a happy ending. Next week. Don't miss. Boy, oh boy. Let's dedicate merit. Happy New Year, everybody. Let's not go off to be birds, but any birds you meet, let's bring them into humanity and then bring them to Buddhahood as well. Here we go. Make a wish. May every living being, our minds as one and radiant with light, share fruits of peace with hearts of goodness, luminous and bright. If people hear and see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all who sorrow leave their grief and pain. May this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. May all become compassionate and wise. Okay, before we go, we can bow to Guanyin Bodhisattva. Please join me. First bow, second bow, third bow. Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Okay, that's going to do it for us for today. See you all next week. Amitofo. Happy New Year, everybody.